Hey guys, what is going on? So in today's video, we're going to be redrafting the 2014 NFL draft. So this was actually a pretty good draft class, a lot of great players in this draft class. And yeah, let's just get into redrafting this draft. So with the first overall pick in the 2014 NFL draft, the Houston Texans selected Davion Clowney. So in my redraft here, I think the obvious redraft choice is Aaron Donald. He was originally selected 13th overall by the Rams, but come on, he's arguably the best player in the NFL, and he's obviously going to be a Hall of Famer. So you got to go with Aaron Donald as the number 1 overall pick. With the number 2 overall pick, the St. Louis Rams selected tackle Greg Robinson. So for my redraft, I'm going to draft linebacker Khalil Mack. He was originally drafted 5th overall by the Raiders. Mack, just another outstanding defensive player, multiple-time Pro Bowler, multiple-time All-Pro, also probably going to be a Hall of Famer. Number 3, so with the number 3rd overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars originally selected Blake Bortles, quarterback Blake Bortles. You guys remember Blake Bortles? Remember that playoff game versus the Patriots where Blake Bortles almost, rushed his way to a win versus the Patriots in the AFC Championship game? But in my redraft, I got to draft quarterback Derek Carr to the Jaguars. He was originally selected by the Raiders with the 36th overall pick. With the 4th overall pick in this draft, the Buffalo Bills selected wide receiver Sammy Watkins. So in my redraft, I'm going to have the Bills select guard Zach Martin, who was originally drafted 16th overall by the Cowboys. Probably the best offensive lineman out of this draft class, and you can never go wrong drafting a really good offensive lineman. With the 5th pick overall in the regular 2014 draft, in reality, the Oakland Raiders selected linebacker Khalil Mack. So obviously in my redraft, Khalil Mack has already been selected, but I'm going to have the Oakland Raiders redraft Davante Adams. He was originally drafted 53rd overall by the Packers, which is crazy because he's been the best wide receiver in the NFL at times. And yeah, keep him in the Bay Area, I guess. Well, the Raiders moved now, but he went to Fresno State, so I think that'd be a nice pick for the Raiders. With the 6th overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons selected tackle Jake Matthews. In my redraft, I'm going to have them selecting wide receiver Mike Evans, who was originally drafted 7th overall by the Buccaneers. A fun fact about Mike Evans. This is one of my favorite NFL fun facts. Every season he has been in the NFL, he has had over 1,000 receiving yards. Like, talk about consistency. That is consistency right there. With the 7th overall pick in the original 2014 NFL draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selected wide receiver Mike Evans. So yeah, I just had him going the pick before. But in my redraft, I'm going to have the Buccaneers drafting tackle Joel Bitonio. I think I pronounced that correctly. He's actually been an All-Pro before. He's been up to the Pro Bowl multiple times. He was originally selected 35th overall by the Browns. But like I said, when you have a great offensive lineman, you got to draft them. And he's been a really, really good offensive lineman for the Browns. With the 8th overall pick, originally the Cleveland Browns selected cornerback Justin Gilbert. But in my redraft, I'm going to have them drafting quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, 8th overall. He was originally selected 62nd overall by the Patriots. But come on, the Browns, they've never had a good quarterback. I'm not saying Jimmy G would be good if he was drafted there, but I don't know. You got to try to find the Browns a decent quarterback. At number 9 overall, the Minnesota Vikings originally selected linebacker Anthony Barr. This was a good pick, but in my redraft, I'm going to have them drafting wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. He was originally drafted 12th overall by the Giants. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year for this draft class. With the 10th overall pick, the Detroit Lions originally selected Eric Ebron. He's a tight end, but in my redraft, I'm going to have them drafting defensive end Davion Clowney, who was obviously originally the number 1 overall pick by the Texans. With the 11th overall pick, the Tennessee Titans drafted tackle Taylor Lewan. And in my redraft, I'm just going to keep it the same. He's been really, really solid for them. Like I said, offensive linemen are so important, especially left tackle. So got to keep Taylor Lewan going to the Titans in my redraft. With the number 12 overall pick, the New York Giants originally selected wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. But in my redraft, since Odell is no longer on the board, I'm going to go with them drafting linebacker Anthony Barr. So he's been really, really solid for the Vikings, multi-time Pro Bowler. With the 13th overall pick, the St. Louis Rams originally selected Aaron Donald. Obviously, he just went number 1 overall in my redraft. So in my redraft, I got to have the Rams selecting DeMarcus Lawrence, defensive end. He was originally drafted 34th overall by the Cowboys, but this gives the Rams another really, really good defensive player, multi-time Pro Bowler too. With the 14th overall pick, the Chicago Bears originally selected cornerback Kyle Fuller, but in my redraft, I have them selecting linebacker CJ Mosley, who was originally drafted 17th overall by the Ravens. With the 15th overall pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers originally selected linebacker Ryan Shazier. Obviously, really, really unfortunate how his career was cut short. He was playing amazing, before his career really, really unfortunately was cut short. So in this redraft, I'm going to have them selecting cornerback Kyle Fuller, who was originally going just 1 pick before them, to the Bears. With the 16th overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys originally selected guard Zach Martin. He already went in my redraft, so I'm going to have the Cowboys drafting another guard in this redraft, and that is Trey Turner. He was originally drafted 92nd overall by the Panthers, but he's a multi-time Pro Bowler. And, you can never have, I feel like, too many good offensive linemen. You got to have a good line to win in this league. So I got a lot of offensive linemen going in this redraft. At number 17, the Baltimore Ravens drafted linebacker CJ Mosley, but in my redraft, I'm going to have them drafting wide receiver Allen Robinson, who was originally the 61st overall pick and was selected by the Jaguars. With the 18th overall pick, the New York Jets selected safety Calvin Pryor, but in my redraft, I'm going to have them selecting outside linebacker Shaq Barrett, who was actually undrafted and signed by the Broncos, but he has had a really, really insane career for someone who has been undrafted. Crazy sack numbers he's had throughout his career. With the 19th overall pick, the Dolphins originally selected Jawan James, who was a tackle, but in my redraft, I'm actually going to have them drafting wide receiver Jarvis Landry, who was originally drafted by the Dolphins with the 63rd overall pick. So Jarvis is still getting drafted by the Dolphins, but just this time in the first round. With the 20th overall pick, the New Orleans Saints selected wide receiver Brandon Cooks, but in my redraft, I'm going to have them selecting tackle Jake Matthews, who was originally taken 6th overall by the Falcons. With the 21st overall pick, the Green Bay Packers originally selected safety Clinton Dix, but in my redraft, I'm going to have them selecting wide receiver Brandon Cooks, who was originally drafted just 1 spot before at the 20th overall spot by the Saints, like I just said. But I feel like Brandon Cooks is honestly really, really underrated. He's only had 2 seasons in the league where he hasn't had over 1,000 receiving yards. Pretty surprising to see that he hasn't made a Pro Bowl, but imagine Cooks with Rodgers in Green Bay. That would have been an insane connection. With the 22nd overall pick in this draft, the Cleveland Browns selected quarterback Johnny Manziel. Money Manziel, baby! So yeah, that was this draft. And for my redraft pick, I'm going to stick with Johnny Manziel. No, I'm kidding. For my redraft pick, I'm actually going to go with Sammy Watkins. So he was selected 4th overall by the Bills. Kind of never lived up to the hype, but he still, has been a solid wide receiver in this league. So I'm going to have the Browns taking him 22nd overall. With the 23rd overall pick in the draft, the Kansas City Chiefs selected defensive end Dee Ford. So in my redraft, I'm going to have them selecting safety Clinton Dix, who was originally the 20th overall pick by the Packers. With the 24th overall pick, the Cincinnati Bengals originally drafted cornerback Darqueze Dennard, but in my redraft, I'm going to have them drafting running back Devonta Freeman, who was actually the 103rd overall pick by the Atlanta Falcons. And this is the year that the Bengals actually drafted Jeremy Hill in the 2nd round. So it was clear, they were looking to draft a running back, but I think Freeman was a much better running back than Hill. With the 25th overall pick, the San Diego Chargers selected cornerback Jason Verrett. He had a pretty solid career with the Chargers, but he kind of struggled to stay healthy throughout his entire career. So in this redraft, I'm going to have the Chargers drafting defensive end Dee Ford, who was originally drafted 23rd overall by the Chiefs. With the 26th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles selected linebacker Marcus Smith, but in my redraft, I'm going to have them selecting outside linebacker Kyle Van Noy, who was originally drafted 40th overall by the Lions. With the 27th overall pick in this draft, the Arizona Cardinals selected cornerback Deion Buchanan, but in this redraft, I'm going to have them drafting center Corey Linsley. He was originally drafted 161st overall by the Packers, but he is a Pro Bowl center. With the 28th overall pick in this draft, the Carolina Panthers selected wide receiver Kelvin Benjamin, but I'm going to have them selecting cornerback Jason Verrett, who was originally selected 25th overall by the Chargers. With the 29th overall pick, the New England Patriots selected defensive tackle Dominique Easley, but in my redraft, I'm going to have them selecting cornerback Malcolm Butler, who was actually an undrafted free agent who was signed by the Patriots. So this time, I'm just going to have him being drafted by the Patriots in the first round. We all remember that Super Bowl interception at the goal line versus the Seahawks. With the 30th overall pick, the San Francisco 49ers selected Jimmy Ward, who's a cornerback. And I'm just going to leave this pick the same. I don't know, like Jimmy Ward has just been solid for the 49ers. So I'm just going to, leave this pick the same. He hasn't made a Pro Bowl or anything like that, but he's just been a solid cornerback. So I'm just going to leave it. With the 31st overall pick, the Denver Broncos selected cornerback Bradley Roby. But in my redraft, I'm going to have them selecting defensive tackle Steven Tuitt, who was originally drafted 46th overall by the Steelers. And last season, the 2021 season, was actually his best season. He had 11 sacks last season, which is crazy. And then with the 32nd overall pick, the Minnesota Vikings originally drafted quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy B. But in this redraft, I'm going to have them drafting tackle Charles Leno Jr., who was originally the 246th draft pick by the Bears. But he's a solid tackle. He's made one Pro Bowl, I believe. And like I said, you got to have good offensive linemen to win in the NFL. So yeah, that's why I had a lot of offensive linemen going in this redraft. But that is it for this video, guys. Let me know if you want to let me know your redraft. Who are some of the picks you would have in your redraft and stuff. If you want to hit the like button, it really does help out the channel. And I appreciate you all watching till this point. That is it, guys. Peace.